The first time he saw her, she was sitting alone at the edge of a park bench, staring at the ground like she was afraid the world might see the tears she was hiding. Her hands clutched an old paperback book, but the pages never turned. It was a cold afternoon in late autumn, and the air smelled of rain. He didn't know why, but something about her drew him in, not in a romantic way, not yet, but like the pull of a soul recognizing another soul that had been through too much. He sat a few benches away at first, not wanting to intrude. He was used to watching people from a distance. People who smiled and laughed easily reminded him of what he'd lost, but people who carried a quiet heaviness in their eyes felt familiar. And she looked like someone who had been through a storm and was still standing, but barely. When their eyes met, she looked away instantly. But the next day, she was there again. And the next. By the third day, he walked over. "You're here a lot," he said softly, trying not to startle her. She glanced at him, wary. "So are you." It took a long pause before she asked, "Why?" He shrugged. "Maybe for the same reason you are." Her gaze dropped back to the book in her hands. "And what reason is that?" He hesitated before answering. Trying to remember what peace feels like. She didn't say anything. But she didn't ask him to leave either. That was enough. For weeks, they met like that, sometimes talking, sometimes sitting in silence. It wasn't until a late evening when the sky was a deep shade of purple that she finally told him. "I'm broken," she whispered, as if confessing a crime. He didn't flinch. He didn't rush to tell her she wasn't. Instead, he said the only honest thing he could. "So was I." She turned to him then, searching his face for pity. She found none. Instead, she saw understanding. Over the following months, their pieces began to show. She told him about the night her life changed, a drunk driver, a phone call at 2 a.m., the kind of loss that rips a hole in the center of your chest. He told her about the years he spent pretending to be fine, the career that had swallowed his identity, the marriage that crumbled when the weight of grief became too much. They didn't heal in a straight line. Some days she pushed him away, convinced she wasn't worth staying for. Some days he disappeared into his own silence, afraid of being hurt again. There were arguments, misunderstandings, and moments when it would have been easier to walk away. But neither of them did. Slowly, they began to rebuild. Not fixing each other, but standing beside one another as they found their own strength again. He encouraged her to start painting again, something she had abandoned after the accident. She urged him to visit his estranged brother, even though it terrified him. Together, they learned to celebrate small victories, a laugh that came naturally, a day without tears, a night of sleep without nightmares. One spring afternoon, as cherry blossoms fell around them, she looked at him and realized something. She wasn't fixed. She still had scars, emotional ones that would never fade completely. But she was no longer broken. She had learned that broken didn't mean worthless. It meant human. And he, sitting there beside her, smiled in a way she hadn't seen before, peaceful, almost content. "You know," she said quietly, "I think maybe we weren't really broken. Maybe we were just, in pieces. And we found some of them again." He took her hand, warm and steady. "Yeah. And the rest? We'll keep finding, together." The park bench was the same. The world was the same. But they weren't. And that was enough to keep going. Message: sometimes, the most beautiful healing happens when two people stop trying to fix each other, and simply decide to walk through the pain together. You don't have to be whole to be worthy of love, you just have to be willing to take the next step. If you want, I can also give you a perfectly paced YouTube narration script version of this with pauses, emotional beats, and visuals suggested for each scene so it's ready for production. That would make it really powerful on video.